back at Summit League Basketball Media Day. Coach Collins of NDSU Women's Basketball joining us now. Coach, how are we doing?
Doing great. Thanks for having me. Thanks for being here today.
Absolutely. Well, this team is coming off a runner-up performance right here at the Summit League tournament. How do you hope that fuels and motivates this team?
Yeah, it was it was a fun run. It's obviously bittersweet when you get into those kind of games and you don't win them. It hurts a little more. And I know we have a lot of players coming back that got to play in that game and have been highly motivated ever since. And in our postseason, our summer, and our preseason, and are pretty driven and trying to get right back here and give it another shot.
And some of those girls are here with you today. We'll talk to your Abbies here soon.
Yeah, we got a lot of them. It's prerequisite to be on our team. You have a good chance to get recruited. Your name's Abby.
Shout out to all the Abbies out there. They play a lot of minutes for you, and they've become those veteran leaders. How have you seen them grow, and how much will you lean on them this season?
Yeah, I think out of our 13, 9 of our kids are freshmen and sophomores. And so those two seniors who have now played multiple years for us and started in multiple games are going to be a big factor. And obviously all the things they do on the court, the scoring and all that are going to be important. And they're going to be bigger contributors this year. But it's also all the things in between and in timeouts and just before games and handling situations and all the things that probably don't go on a stat sheet that you appreciate from your leaders and upperclassmen. And both of those kids are great examples of, for our younger players.
Coach, let's talk about some of those numbers. You were second in this league last year in terms of field goal percentage. You averaged close to 76 points a game on the season. But there is no Heaven Hamlin in this lineup, and there is no Elle Evans in this lineup for you. So the faces look different. Talk a little bit about how, with all of these newcomers, you've approached, and so how do we kickstart this offense? What's it going to look like? Because you can't replace that type of those numbers all with one.
Sure.
Might be by committee with multiple people. What have you done differently? How have you approached that?
Yeah, so, I've gotten asked that question a lot.
See, then you're ready for it.
Yep,
See, that's good.
I am. And those two were two fantastic players. And if you look at, shot attempts and field goal percentage, they made a lot of shots. They took a lot of shots for us. And obviously we were asking them to do that. And they handled that responsibility really, really well. What I tell you this year, what I'm really excited for is we have plenty of talented players on our team. And sometimes when you're a younger player, you take a back seat to a very talented or an upperclassman who's been there, who's been through the wars, and who coaches are going to lean on. And, that's what we did last year. But there's going to be an opportunity this year for several of our players to, I don't think we have one player on the preseason first team or second team, and we're going to have several that are going to get postseason awards.
Yeah.
And they just haven't shown that yet and haven't had the opportunity. But this will be a year where I think our offensive versatility with multiple players being able to play multiple spots, we're going to be able to put plenty of players in position to help us score. Do I think we're going to have an 18-point-a-game guy? Maybe not. But I think we're going to have 5 or 6 kids that are right at double figures, 10, 11, 12. And hopefully, that's maybe a little bit harder. That would be a little less predictable in where we're going with the ball and hopefully, cause a little more problems for the other team.
One of the words that comes up a lot with coaches and players, and when we talk about the Summit League specifically, is the physicality. This is a physical league, and you've not only got to have size inside, but yet we're in this world of college basketball on both the women's and the men's side, where that stretch 4, swing 3, and we can use all the buzzwords we want, they exist.
Yep.
So how have you guys, in terms of you and your staff, and then you get into practice, looking at the physicality of this league and how you want to be able to compete with that?
Yeah, I would tell you that starts one with recruiting. To have the stretch 4 for us and what we do is probably our most versatile spot, and being able to play inside and out. And, Avery Coonan had a really good freshman year last year and had a great tournament here, a great championship game, has been unbelievable in practice, and is going to be one of those players that kind of branches out and becomes a household name this year without question. Abby Kay, who started for us at the 4 last year as a freshman, is going to play a little bit at the 3, a little bit at the 4. She's one we're starting to stretch out there. Both of those kids are super physical and tough, and I don't think came in that way necessarily. AK did, but Avery didn't, but has gotten that way. And then it's just, how do you practice every day?
Yeah.
And there's a fine line. Coaches will tell you there's a fine line between, we do a 30-second shutout drill and 3-on-3 war, boxing out. How much can you do that?
Yeah.
and then find the fine line of what's the benefit to that and then what's the negative of that, this early in the year. So I think you always are what you emphasize, and we do emphasize being a physical team. When I got into this league, if you weren't physical, USD and SDSU were just going to bully you around and push you around, and you either get better at it or you get beat up. So, you really have no choice but to kind of, emphasize that and get better in those things.
You know what this league is going to present once it kicks off after January 1. So prior to that, when you thought about your conference, you were loaded with your non-con last year, and it was a lot of challenges, a few this year. I know you open on November 4th. You go to Drake, who has always been one of the most consistent teams in this part of the country. December, you go out to Washington. You're going to get UW. You're going to get Boise State. Just talk a little bit about what your philosophy was in scheduling your non-con and what you want to see early.
Yeah, last year it was harder than what I wanted it to be. When Western Illinois left, we had to get 2 games. We just happened to get at Drake and at Iowa State.
Oh, congratulations. That's awesome.
That's what was left for us to get on the schedule. That wasn't by design. And I think we went 5-7, but I think we all knew, hey, when we get this is going to pay off for us when we get to league play. And, as a competitor, that's hard because we're trying to win. I don't like having a losing record in the non-con, but it was what it was. And we've put together another, what I think is a really good non-conference schedule. Part of the hard part for us this year is going to be the travel. I mean, we're playing in Anchorage, we're playing in Charleston, we're playing in Seattle, we're playing in New Orleans.
Yeah.
And kind of everywhere in between. But with our young, like I said, with 9 freshmen and sophomores in that group, it's going to be really good for us to figure some things out, some rotation things, who can really do what, where our pieces fit together against some really good teams. And then hopefully, like everyone else, you're just ready to go when January comes along, that you feel like, okay, this is who we are, and then you just go for it.
You talk about those freshmen. Do you think sometimes it's almost it's a benefit because they just don't know what they don't know yet?
Yeah, 100%. And some of them, we got a girl come in, Marissa Frost is a freshman from Centennial that played high level high school, high level AAU. She just does what she does, and she doesn't care who she's playing against or how old you're supposed to be. And I love that mentality.
Yeah.
And that's going to, that's why she's going to get to play a lot probably early in her career. And Claire Stern from Maple Grove is the same. High level summer basketball, but also high level high school basketball, played in state championships on big stages and in big gyms. And those kids are a little bit more acclimated, just from that experience in the couple years leading up to college to be ready to help. But then there's nothing like, then you get into real practices and they get their eyes open no matter what. But that's all part of the process for them. But I think those 2 especially will really learn some things in the non-conference play and be factors for us by the time we get to Summit League play.
No doubt.
Yeah. About a month away from the start of the season, right? It's coming up close, right?
Yeah.
Before you know, we're like, 20-something days away. From what you've seen from your girls and what this team is made up of so far and what you've seen in the gym, like what makes this group special to you?
The thing that's probably stood out is we're a faster team than we were last year. We played Heaven and Abby Schulte at the point guard spot more out of necessity than that was their strength. Heaven was always an off-the-ball scorer, and Schulte's probably more natural wing player, even though she has leadership qualities like a point guard. Molly Lenz is a transfer, and Marissa Frost are probably going to handle the majority of our points. It'd be the first time here at NDSU I feel like I have real point guards. And I think our pace is going to be a lot of fun because they can really push it and set the tone defensively. And then I think, when I ask our team, what do you like about us right now? I think it's the unselfishness that we're playing with, the ability, the confidence that every single person that's on my team, I'm on green or gold. I feel like everybody can make a play. So I just make the right basketball play, and I just trust that. And hopefully that continues, and we can be a team that can go, 8, 9, 10 deep of players that everybody believes in and has confidence that can go out and make a play for you.
Coach, before we let you go, where are you most excited to travel to?
Well, the 2 places, I've never been to Anchorage, Alaska, so I'm kind of excited just to fly in there and kind of see what that looks like. And then Charleston, South Carolina, kind of an historic town. I've been to South Carolina, North Carolina, but never to Charleston. So looking forward to just seeing us two opposite ends of the.
Yeah.
It's a long
Very
ways away.
opposite,
yeah.
Long thousands of miles.
Yes, yes.
Two different cultures, but I'm kind of excited to check those out.
I feel
Love
like
it.
you scheduled that right. Go cold, and then we'll warm it up a little bit. for-
Hopefully, I
Yeah.
hope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Fingers
Hopefully.
crossed for that.
We'll
You never
see.
know.
And then you're back to Fargo. So,
Fargo,
all
right.
right, there we
Then we're
go.
back to the cold.
Well, Coach, thank you so much for the time. We'll bring up your pair of Abbeys right next.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.